Today we're going to be drawing one of my favorite characters, Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
I'm the Pumpkin King. I like Christmas.
Is that like an impression? Okay then, well, anyway, let's get started. So first I'm just kind of going to show you guys the general proportions of Jack. He has a very tall and lanky body, so his head is kind of a little circle, and then his body extends down about 10 head lengths. So you'll see I'm drawing out the head lengths here. And it's a great way to measure the height and proportions of a character is using their head as a reference for how tall they are. Now, an actual person is about 7 head lengths tall, and so Jack is definitely much taller and lankier. His arms are about 2.5 head lengths each for each segment, and you can kind of eyeball it a little bit, but if you want to get precise, you can use that. So he also has this really wide bow tie that kind of, expands out, and it has these kind of bat wings on it, and that's an iconic part of his character as well. But what I want to do is get right into the actual drawing here.
I am the Pumpkin King. My dog is a ghost.
Okay, I guess you're still working on that impression. Well, you're kind of just saying his name and then describing him. Maybe you could say something he would actually say. I think you got this. So I thought maybe we could give Jack a little sunshine and cheer and put him on the beach. So now we're going to start by just sketching in his overall gesture and pose. I'm going with kind of a medium shot of him, so it's going to be like his torso up, and so you get to see his face and his upper body. And I thought since he's on the beach, might as well give him something fun to do, so I'm having him fly a kite here. And I played around in some initial thumbnail sketches with being able to see the kite in the actual view, but I couldn't find a good way with the perspective to get his face facing the camera and the kite in it as well. But his expression here is based on some reference photos I found from the movie. I actually found a really great reference photo to use. It's of the actual heads they used in animating Jack. And so they had these replacement heads. They would make, I think they had like over a couple hundred of these heads, and they would replace them for each of his mouth movements and facial expressions. Although I'm not being too careful with getting it exact, I noticed a lot of fan art of Jack kind of take some liberties with his facial expressions, and I'm kind of doing the same. So I hope it's close enough to kind of you'll understand who it is, but kind of just playing around with it really. Then I'm giving him this tall kind of witch's hat, almost going to be a straw hat that I was trying to figure out what kind of hat he might wear to the beach, and I figured this would be a fun style for him. Now hands are always tricky. Honestly, that's something I always struggle with to some degree. There's just so much detail in a hand pose, and if you're trying to quickly sketch out a character, sometimes it can kind of slow you down to really focus in on the hands, but they're an important part of any pose that has hands in them. That's why sometimes it's more fun to just do the upper body and not even show the hands if you're really just trying to get a likeness of the face or something like that. So I wanted to kind of extend the handles of the kite to kind of make it that old-fashioned kite spindle. Yeah, just having fun with cross-hatching and giving it more detail on the hat. This is a really fun part of the costume, and that's a really key part of this drawing here. I'm kind of putting Jack in a different environment, giving him a different costume than you've ever seen him before. I mean, we only ever see him with his kind of classic striped suit, but here, giving him a old-fashioned bathing suit that we'll put the stripes on there as well. And so you can actually see his upper body, his chest, and so I had to give that some detail as well. Kind of drawing the background, some sandcastles.
I am the Pumpkin King. What's this?
Wait, what's this? What's what?
What's this?
Oh, you mean like the song, What's This? What's This? The snowflake thing. Oh yeah, that's much better. You got this, RT. Just using some watercolor style brushes to lay in some colors in the background. And overall, the style I want to go for is really loose and just kind of suggesting an environment and color and that kind of thing. Giving it some shading. This is the fun part of it, just trying to figure out, how the light affects the scene. It's really kind of fun to figure out, where's the light, where's that source coming from, and then adjust the shading on the objects accordingly. And I'm never getting too precious or careful with that. It's also part of, designing the look of the image is where's that shading, where are the harder shadows, that kind of thing. It's fun to because he's just kind of like a sphere, he's kind of fun to shade. It's like one of those classic drawing exercises where you shade the sphere. And his hat, it's also a fun one to kind of shade in, give it that patchy look. Figure out where the kind of brim of the hat shades the back of it. And giving him some more detail in his arms and hands. When you add in those shadows on the hands, it really gives the fingers more depth as well. And just filling in the color on his bathing suit there. And I'm going back and forth between using the technique of lassoing in areas to color and then just using brushes that are small enough to get the detail. It's sometimes nice to lasso in an area so you can use bigger brushes and just go right up to the edge without going over the outlines. And then I want to actually soften the background a little bit. So what I'm going to do is actually remove some of the outlines so it's really just more of the watercolor coming through and it kind of makes him pop forward. And then you got to give him the classic stripes to finish off the final part of the composition. So we're done with the drawing and I thought maybe there's a few more little details I could add. So I polished it up with some bolder lines on the outside of the character that kind of gives Jack a little more emphasis in the composition. And then I also added some clouds in the background, the swirling clouds that kind of gives it that more Tim Burton Nightmare Before Christmas feel. And that's pretty much it.
I am Sally. I like to make soup.
RT. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Stay creative.